Hey there, and welcome to another OSS Thursdays. I'm very excited to be here today. Um, Taylor will be joining us as well in just a bit. Let me turn my light. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, hello there. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I'm super excited to get on and do a little bit more open source with y'all. And let me just share my screen real quick. And here we go. Share screen. Yep. Just share my Chrome window over here. Awesome. Cool. Let's get started. Let's just make this a little bit bigger and let's have a look at what we've been up to with Distribute Aid. So let's have a look-see here. What we've got is a series of pull requests that we've been working with. And yeah, just going straight in. You know what? Before Taylor gets here, let's review a little bit of what's taken place in the last week. If you didn't join the show last week, we launched a new Distribute Aid website. That was super fun. Yeah, so now the new website is live. Actually, we got a couple of contributions already, which was super cool. Thank you so much for that. And it was great. And today we've got a big pull request to review, which is implementing forestry CMS. So we're going to let's have a look at what Maxime from Distribute Aid is showing us here. Let's read this. So this PR implements forestry as a content management system, or CMS. Forestry is a hosted service that commits changes directly into the repo, so we maintain full control over our content. My biggest gripe with other systems like Github is that every collaborator needs to download a bunch of content with the CMS using an API key before they're able to collaborate. With Forestry, there's only one source of truth, and collaborators don't require access to the editor UI. And V Prevail says, yeah, we're changing CMSs. Hey, hello. Hope you're doing good. Yeah. So here's what the editor UI looks like. It feels very easy to use and would enable people without GitHub or dev experience to make edits easily. And that looks pretty straightforward, I would say. I wonder how Access is going to work for this, but I guess we'll figure that out as we go. Let's go ahead and, yeah, what do we all think? And we've actually got a Code C review map that I can, you know what? I might just do that now and have a look. So, review in an interactive map. You know what? Let me just quickly go back and put that in a separate view. There we go. That way we can keep our original GitHub link. So, got quite a few things going on here. Let me zoom in just a little bit. So it seems like we're adding our settings and about us page and all that here. Have a look. Nice. Well, I'm going to say this looks good. How can I mark this as reviewed? Let me make this a little bit bigger. Cool. So that's for the About Us page. Oh, and we can define what kind of fields we use. And vParallel says, oh, wow, it looks like forestry saves the content in Git. Yeah, this reminds me a lot of Netlify CMS, which is something I have a bit of experience with, which is quite cool. Very excited to see, because, yeah, we can define different fields for that, about our mission, description. This is cool. And it lets you indicate what page you're in. That's really cool. Awesome. So I guess we got one for the home page as well. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and how do I? Aha, and the content goes in here. Mission statement, about our mission, and we can write all of that in Markdown. That's pretty handy. Site settings. Oh, wow. So really, this is like storing all of our information directly into Git, like you said, vPrevails. That's super handy. Cool. We are going to have to re-review this with Taylor when he joins in, because ultimately, like, I mean, of course, this is a collaborative effort, but we also need to make sure that he's on board. Yeah. Awesome. So we added it. We added some stuff to the About Us page, and that comes with these fields from the CMS. That's cool. That's super cool. So we're essentially populating the data straight into that field. Cool. I'm excited about this homepage. And I think these are new files that we then. Yep. So this is like strictly putting just those components for the CMS in there. Cool. And now we're removing all of that text and putting it in its own place. So that's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Template props. Sweet. Oh, I'm excited to give this a merge. Let's see what else we got. So I'm guessing for all of these specific sections, yeah, we're using that specific GitHub content. And this is going to really help us with the flexibility, because the reason we're using a CMS instead of like letting people commit directly into the code, is that if somebody who perhaps has less experience with coding or has less experience with Gatsby or React, they can still make those changes to the website, but not have to git clone, start up the app, do all of that. They can just log in, kind of like folks do in WordPress, where they can just log in, make the changes, and the page gets deployed. So that's fantastic. Awesome. And yeah, we're just putting all of those fields in there. Sweet. And that file got removed, so that's cool. External link. Yeah. I'm excited about this. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Oh, I know why I can't review this. It's because I'm not logged in. Let me log in real quick. Give me just a sec. Yep. Let me just do that real quick. Nice. Right. Let me open up that interactive map again, and I think now I should be able to review it. Yes, that's why I couldn't mark it as reviewed. This is cool. Content management system. Maxime is just the best. I can say that live on stream. We use Forestry to manage your content. CMS is a Git Based CMS, which means that all the content is stored inside this repo. Forestry directly to view the current configuration. How do I edit content? Make a pull request through GitHub's UI, clone this repository, make changes in Forestry UI. You'll need a Forestry account. Okay. So it is possible to actually edit the content here in Git. So you don't, like, if you know what you're like, if you're messing around with the files directly on GitHub, that is possible. But if you don't want to mess around with GitHub, you can do it directly with Forestry. That's pretty cool. I would say let's let Taylor have, I'm gonna give this a thumbs up. This is super exciting. Reminds me a little of Netlify CMS. Open for us. Use directly in Git. I'm also super excited about how I don't want to be super excited twice in a row. I'm also excited about how everything is clear and editable in GitHub. Nice one. I'm going to improve it, but of course that doesn't mean that I'm merging it. So we've sent our approval. Oh, nice. Okay, we can actually check out the live version, can't we? Let me scroll down a little bit. I haven't finished migrating everything to the new CMS. I wanted to get buy-in from people before spending time on migrating images and such. I've never heard it, but just had a look, and this sounds really good. I'd be happy to go ahead with this. The only small thing I noticed in this PR is that you're sometimes using snake case and YAML. It might be better to use camel case so it fits the rest of the JS naming. I don't think YAML cares ultimately most of the code in JS. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. Does YAML normally have does YAML normally need? Camel case? That's a good question. Can I reply this? Yeah. Oh, whoops. Let's reply to Robea here. Thank you so much for your comment, Robea. So this is an excellent question. In my experience, YAML is usually formatted with snake case, but I'm not super picky. I'll leave it to you, Maxime. Again, for looking to forestry. Let's actually take a look at forestry itself. I've never used it. So forestry CMS. Make this a little bit larger. Nice. A Git Based, a headless CMS that commits. That's super cool. Your website, your workflow. This is well cool. Trusted by. Cool. Is there a getting started? Showcase. Docs. There we go. Let's have a look at pricing. This is amazing. Awesome. I love that I also love that they, some people say give YAML some the same casing as the environment around it. Can't really seem to find a default standard. Thank you. That's a good point. I hope you don't mind, V prevails. I'm going to quote you on that. I will edit my comment. Awesome. Thank you for the thumbs up. Just had, what was your GitHub username? Something with K. I'm bad at remembering names in this. In this case, it would indeed be the same case as the JS around it. Well, good find. What was it? I think we merged the pull request from here. Yeah, there it is. Nice, nice, nice. Let's chat with live on stream who found that the consensus is that folks adapt their YAML casing to fit the project. So it would seem that using the project's camel case would be a best practice after all. And as you correctly said, this is one of those wonderful subjects that invites a lot of bike shedding. Yeah, and that's absolutely right. I think that's a change that could be made later on, honestly. But yeah, this looks great to me. Let's I wonder how that looks live because it hasn't been merged yet. So let's take a look at that running live on Gitpod. Oh, I'm gonna do this for the first time live on stream. I'm gonna spin up that Gitpod. Let's do that. I had an opportunity last week to meet the Gitpod community team, and developer experience teams, and they were some of the most wonderful people I've ever met. And Taylor is here. Let's bring him on stream.
Hey everybody, so sorry I'm late.
Sorry, my headphones turn off if I can hear you fine. Just my headphones turn off if they haven't been making noise for a while. How are you, Taylor?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm awake. I got coffee, which is
good.
Yeah.
Good. Are you still in Eastern time zone?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I mean, am I still in Eastern time zone versus what time zone is my body on, right?
Yeah. Very fair.
This is what I get. I stayed up until 4 a.m. last night, drinking a bottle of wine, talking to someone about our future U.S. expansion plans. So
awesome.
Yeah, lots of great plotting happens, and I was
cool.
Tired and grumpy waking up at about 5 minutes before the stream.
Oh no.
Oh, it's all good. Excited to be here though.
But thank you so much for hopping on. I hope you don't mind. I was just doing a little bit of reviewing the forestry CMS changes.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I'd love to like, I don't want to spoil, Taylor, but I'm very excited about this.
Me too.
Yep. Maxime has been killing it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. But before we hop onto that, I'd love to, like, as much as you can share, Taylor, do you have any updates from what Distribute8 is up to?
Yeah, so I think, it's one of those exciting moments where we're coming out of our Fort Pickett response and like there's something there, right? We know that there's a huge opportunity to help a lot of people with a continued response in the US. But we also have, outside of any single response we do, we have some larger considerations. So kind of my mandate for continued work in the US is fundraising. It's growing our in-kind donor program. There's some really good tax benefits for corporations that donate products here that we don't see the same sort of thing in Europe. I was actually on a talk with the World Humanitarian Forum about green logistics, and because of the way taxes work in Europe, corporations that donate products actually have to pay VAT on the value of that product, and then they'll get that money back at the end of the year. So they're kind of like loaning the government money to donate stuff to humanitarian aid, which is a bit of a disincentive, or they have to zero rate the product because they can't sell it in their local market anymore, like they did with the masks that we had in the US. The companies get a tax benefit. So obviously there's like costs and stuff associated with the product, but if they donate it, at the end of the year, they can say, hey, we donated all this product. Here's how much money it cost us, right? And they get a tax benefit for that. So it's they come out ahead, which is a good incentive. So I think that there's a huge opportunity to develop relations with in-kind donors in the States to both support our work in the US and internationally. There's good tax benefits for cash donors, so want to up fundraising. And then the
Cool.
third one, tech. I get to spend a lot more time with our tech team and actually building or like project management stuff with our tech this year. So
Awesome.
that's kind of,
That's super exciting.
yeah, that's where I'm at. But that doesn't leave a lot of time necessarily to like build and grow operations in the US. And that's not necessarily something that I want to do myself, anyways, having like done this in Europe. So, what we're looking at doing is bringing on someone to our US team to kind of continue the mission and support resettled Afghans and build out that network and build out those relationships and those operations to do so. And that complements each other nicely. I can go after big in-kind donors, and because this is a very visible response right now, it's kind of a good, initial pitch, right? Help out at
Yeah.
home, develop the relationship. So I can kind of use that, my mandate with the tech, the fundraising, the in-kind donors to support the new person we're bringing on to help out with, the operational side of this continued response. And then, that gets people in the door. But once we have that relationship with a donor, we can maintain it and use that and kind of long-term view to get aid abroad to, kind of funds DA in general and all of our responses that we do, things like that. So,
That's amazing.
yeah, kind of big picture, medium picture. And I think it's really key when we talk about what's after Fort Pickett. The team has very much been behind supporting displaced people, right?
Yeah.
And the focus will be on resettled Afghans, and there's a whole bunch of great work that we can do there. But by having the mandate be displaced people, that allows us to get people involved who are excited about, again, the very high visibility Afghan response. And then over time, as those folks integrate with US society, as they get jobs, as they need less support, we don't have to start a new project to say help migrants and refugees on the US southern border or help people that are displaced internally in the US, whether that's homelessness or a natural disaster or something like that, right? Because we've just been supporting displaced people. It just made sense to focus on the Afghans first since we're coming out of this Fort Pickett response. And so I hope that the networks we build of kind and caring people, we can then help those networks pivot. Like, hey, you did a great job with this, and the families you were sponsoring or whatever are like, they're good to go. And then like, here's the next thing. Would you like to stay involved, right? And just keep building up the momentum at that network level.
That's awesome, Taylor.
Thanks,
That's
man.
super excited. It sounds like 2022 is going to be a great year.
Yeah, well, they've all been great, but we're very excited, especially being able to kick something off in the US and having a nice segue
Yeah.
into it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna, as always, throw up a link about speaking of in-kind donations, um, to the Open Collective for Distribute Aid. Again, if you can contribute with code or financially, always super appreciated to donate to Distribute Aid in any way you can. What they're doing is wonderful. And as always, you taking the time to come on here with me and do some coding and planning is always just a joy. So thanks, Taylor.
Favorite part of my week too. And I
Same.
will say we've developed a really successful laptop donation program here at Fort Pickett. So there's
Yeah.
a dozen med students that are training to become doctors or other healthcare professionals in the US system, which is like very needed right now.
Awesome.
As well as a number of folks on base who are studying computer science and programming. And there are a lot of pilots, right? So some of the folks who are like in the Afghan Air Force who we evacuated, wanting to switch over to commercial, sort of pilots, which helps both for like what we usually think of as pilots, like taking an airplane to another place, but also supply chain crisis around the world. commercial cargo pilots and stuff. And so what we've been doing is lining up free education courses, working with our partners on base to do that. And then we had a donation, an in-kind donor gave us 50 laptops. So we've been helping support the folks who run the computer lab, where people can get started while they're on base with their education. And then, for these students where that computer, like, since it's limited resources, right, we're trying to find out where is this going to really make a difference in someone's transition after they get off base, and allow them to continue their studies and things like that. So we kind of put a laptop in a backpack and a certificate of, like, hey, I showed up and was showing aptitude at the Fort Pickett computer lab, and they get to kind of covertly leave with it. We don't want a situation where people feel hurt or left out because we don't have enough laptops for everyone. So we just kind of keep it quiet and focus on the students that do show up and put the work in. But that's a great example. And speaking to a tech audience on this call, if your employer is buying new laptops every 3 years, things like that, right? Like, we would love to develop a laptop donation program, and we have a great audience here in the US where literally it'll allow them to, like, become a doctor. It'll allow them to take these very expensive courses which have been donated for free. It'll help them get a job. It'll help them get into programming. And that's just in the US. We also work with Thaki. They do a really great educational program. They take donated laptops, wipe them, stick Linux on them, and have all of this amazing content in a couple of different languages, from, like, the Discovery Channel and National Geographic and things like that. And so we've been shipping laptops to Lebanon for them, so that kids in the Lebanon camps, or Lebanese students who lost their laptop in the Beirut blast, things like that, are able to tap in and participate in education in ways that they might not have access to formal schooling, right? So I think that's one of those harder to acquire items, because laptops are expensive. But we're all going through, it's always like, hey, I got the new iPhone, or I got the new Lenovo or whatever. The workplace depreciates assets, and once those hit zero, they buy everyone a new laptop, right? Like, whatever that is, to prevent e-waste and to take something that's given us a lot of privilege, like this computer access. Like, okay, I don't need this laptop anymore. I'm not going to make a ton of money by selling it. Like, maybe I'll get a little bit, but compared to the value of a new laptop and the costs and stuff, like, it's not really that much of a business expense to write down. If you want to donate those laptops to DA, we have people where we treat it as an investment in their education, and they will get far more out of it than the cost of a used laptop. So I just wanted to plug those programs. And
please, let's take it a step further, if I may, Taylor. Is there, if folks are watching and they're like, I want to donate, best to do so to get in touch via Twitter or something, or is there a
yeah, I would say donate-aid@distributeaid.org. You can always send us an email there. That's kind of our main in-kind donation email. And feel free to reach out on Twitter as well, for sure.
Cool. So donate-aid@distributeaid.org. Cool. Folks, if you've got a laptop or if your workplace is getting rid of laptops, please.
No, we'll take one. We'll take 100. We'll take 1,000. We can handle logistics. They are dangerous goods, but we know the regulations around them, so not a problem to ship them all over the world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Taylor, this is great.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, sorry. Did I cut you off?
No, I was just kind of wrapping it up there.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you for that. This is really exciting stuff. I think seeing those next steps is, but I feel like today we're going to be talking mostly about next steps. Like, we did our big thing last week. We launched a website. It was a long development process, but we made it, and we set out some first steps. And folks who are watching, a couple of you made PRs. Thank you very much. V prevails. And like the big thing that we were reviewing before you came on, Taylor, was the integration of what's it called? Forest CMS? Forestry?
Forestry, yeah. No, very excited. And when I was talking to Maxime at
Yeah.
our tech catch up on Monday, so Sarah was there as well. And for those of you who don't know who Sarah is, she's our director and my co-founder. And so, kind of leads up that admin side of running this org. And so we talked it through and kind of the benefits, I think, on the code side, right? With Forestry, it's going to commit those changes directly to the code base. So
Mm.
unlike, oh gosh, what's our other current CMS? The one that I did.
Contentful.
Contentful, right. So Contentful, all that data lives on their online platform, right? And then we pull it down, which can lead to slightly longer build times sometimes, but it
Right.
also means that the content lives on their platform, which like is a potential risk. If there's a network split and we can't connect to Contentful, we can't deploy the site, right? Or
Yeah.
if we lose access to our accounts for whatever reason, which probably is not a huge risk because they're a big company and we could go
Yeah.
against support and stuff like that. But I do like how Forestry commits the changes directly in the code base and your data lives alongside the code. And that's totally fine because this is an open source code base with all of that content being public, right? It also means that I think there's a lot more feedback up front for the
Mm.
admin and the ops folks. I think through Forestry's online platform, you can even do a preview, right? So they would be able to make some changes and then preview them and like preview a build of the site with those changes without having to download or run the code on their computer at all. So that's pretty cool. Maxime did say one of the things Contentful does, which Forestry doesn't, I think, is like structured data. Forestry seems to be a bit
Mm.
more of a traditional CMS where you can still set up schemas and like blocks and things like that, but that's going to be more of like building out your view layer, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Contentful takes a bit more of like what was that, like MVVM or something
Oh,
paradigm, like model view something. I forgot what it was. It was a
I think
take.
it's model view model. I could be wrong.
Yeah, something like that, right? And I feel like that's more of Contentful's paradigm where you build the data model in Contentful and then pull it down and apply it to a view model in React or whatever else you're using. So that's a bit better set up for structured, larger scale data like our shipment data. And when I say larger scale, I just mean there's like dozens of shipments, right? But people can document the shipment data and then we can do whatever we need to on the front end in different ways, whereas Forestry seems a bit more optimized for like a lot of the current site where it's mostly kind of content blocks and it's not necessarily repeatable, or if it's repeatable it's things like projects where we only have like 4 or 5 projects on there, right? So I think I'm excited for Forestry for the content
Totally.
and content editing, and then we can either keep Contentful for those other pages that are like we need to generate a bunch of stuff in different spots with that data, or we can look at a different approach. It kind of makes it less of like a CMS problem for us and more of
Yeah.
a data pipeline problem at this point. So other solutions would be like uploading a CSV with shipment data to the repo, or eventually as we get the
True.
shipment tracker platform online, pulling from that API into our landing site instead of Contentful, something like that.
True. That's a good point. And and um and here V Prevails puts very well. How will migrations work with Forestry? Like data migrations.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Uh, I do not know, but that's maybe something we can answer. Let's do some research.
Totally. Um, so I was thinking, like, I gave this a review.
Hmm?
Um, I approved it. We got a comment from Rabea who made a good point. It was mostly about YAML.
Hmm.
Let me just scroll down a little bit. Thanks for this. One only small thing is that in this PR, you're sometimes using snake case in the YAML. Might be better to use camel case so it fits with the rest of the JS naming. I don't think YAML cares, and ultimately most of the code is JS. And that led us down an interesting, as V Prevail said, bike setting conversation, where they found out that indeed the consensus is that folks adapt their YAML casing to fit the project, which I didn't know, and I thought that was interesting. But I don't think this should block us from merging.
No, that seems like a kind of a cleanup issue that gets added on, right? Next steps and stuff like that. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Cool. In that case, I figured, you know what? We've never done this. Let's set up a Git pod live on stream.
Okay.
It'll take just a second. I just got to connect with my GitHub. I was also telling the chat, like I had the opportunity to meet Gitpod's community and developer experience teams, and there's some wonderful people.
That's awesome. Ramon, do you want to pitch him on sponsoring DA and sponsoring
distributeaid.org, and we'll make a workspace based on Saga. And there we go. That's how easy it is to set up a Git Pod instance.
Nice.
Let's make this a little bit larger. And I wanted to actually not do this branch, not Saga, but the Forestry CMS one. Let's do that. So that would be test/forestry. So git checkout test forestry. So on that, let me just cancel this. So we might need to do a yarn run.
No.
Hope the size is okay, folks. Give me a shout if it should be a little. I'll make it just a touch bigger. And then I'll just resize our window. There we go. That should be a little nicer, I hope. Cool. Yeah, while that's running, did you have a chance? Did you want to look at the diff, Taylor?
I've kind of glanced through it, and I think I guess I care more about like the operational impacts and kind of like conceptual impacts. If you and Reve have also reviewed the diff and feel like it's fine, then I'm good with that. And that's
cool.
Probably a great approach. Like looking at, we've done some mob programming and stuff before. Like different people on the team can review and like look at different parts, especially for larger migrations like this, right? Larger changes.
Totally.
And that way, hopefully everything gets considered, but it doesn't all have to be considered by every person on the team.
Exactly. I agree wholeheartedly. Awesome. Yeah. So then in that case, do you think we should be ready to merge then if all looks good from a content perspective?
Yeah, I feel like we can move ahead. I think everyone's had, some good amount of time here since Maxime posted it to take a look and provide feedback. And not a fan of holding things up.
Same. And the great thing is that, since we made that change to our since we made that change to how we deploy the website, it doesn't have to go live right away.
Well, exactly. Yeah. We can just push it to Saga and keep building off of it. And it sounds like Maxime, switched a bunch of stuff over to Forestry, but especially with a larger change like this, there might be a couple cleanup PRs, a couple of other things, right? So glad to see our architecture decision working out well.
No, and I took a look at it on the review on all the diff stuff. Like we actually clarified the architecture, in my opinion, a little bit more. So I think it actually looks really great. I'm well excited, and the general consensus in the chat is that Forestry looks really great.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's one of the big things I'm excited about is with Contentful. Like we solved the problem of not needing to have any sort of complicated setup with Contentful, right? Because we just set up a public key and put that in the code base. So when people downloaded it, they had read-only access. But that doesn't allow devs to go in and make changes to content and then see how those changes will affect the code, right? Which means that it's either kind of a two-step process where they need someone to help build the data model and get content in there, and then they can dev, things like that. I think with Forestry, since it lives with the code base, right, then that gives devs a lot more freedom to go in and experiment. And just as they're developing a new feature, get the content for it in there, play around with different, schemas or kind of layouts or setups or whatever it is, and actually see how that impacts their code. So
Definitely.
the Prevail's point about migrations, probably something to look more into. I did a cursory Google search and
Nice.
not seeing some like solid documentation pop up, which makes me, it's a little bit of a yellow flag, I'd say, because I really want to find out a solid answer. But one of the bits that I like about forestry is that since it is checked into Git, like the content is, in terms of rolling stuff back, it's as easy as rolling any code back, right? We would just go back to a good point in the branch, check that out, and then move forwards from there. I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope so.
Awesome. Cool. Well then, if we're having a look at the website here, in theory, nothing should change. Like from
Yeah,
a visual standpoint.
right. Because this was more architecture changes.
Exactly.
Yep.
If I were to think of this, this would be more of a back end change than a front end change.
And that's where. So here's my feature request for the stream for CodeC. All right.
Yeah, please.
We have the same data, right? The data shouldn't have changed. Maxime should have copied over data from Contentful to Forestry or whatever for this, right? We're swapping out this backend architecture piece. So the front end hasn't changed, the data hasn't changed, which means that we should be able to make 2 CodeC runs, and there will be some changes there, right? Because it's part of the backendy sort of tech, but a lot of the front end stuff should be getting the same data in and doing the same things with it. So that would be really cool to be able to say, before the forestry IO change, just on the normal Saga branch or something, do a CodeC run, mark out what files we're not expecting changes in, and then, check out the forestry branch, do a CodeC run and compare them and have it kind of like highlight, any changes in those files to how the data worked or how the code worked, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Right? Like if there's a different execution path, if there's different input data. I
Yep.
feel like that's a good like CodeC maps, right? Like if I could make a map to plan out this larger architectural change and mark, expected changes versus expected not changes, and then link 2 runs up to it and have those confirm my expectations to highlight any potential issues.
Yeah. Oh, I like that a lot. I'm gonna flag that as well. Thank you. Um, actually, one thing that I notice here, Taylor, is that this isn't up to date with the Fort Pickett info.
So Maxime was probably working on the forestry stuff while we were also updating that. So the question here is, can we just go into forestry and add that in? Can we try using it out right now on the branch but commit that to the branch?
So we would do that here.
Well, I think, I'm not 100% sure. Like, would we run forestry? I feel like we should be able to run forestry from our local dev environment, right? And then enter stuff into their UI or whatever.
So from what I understand, in the diff I saw that there was a section on famous last words. I felt like I saw something about forestry, but I think we need an account.
Okay. We do have a tools ad, so I can shoot you the password for that, kind of our shared account. Cool. But here's the question: like, do we need to always go through the forestry platform, or is there like a way to run their stuff locally and then that way? Because it's going to be hard. We're going to lose that ability for any OSS contributor to make these changes as they're developing new stuff if they need a forestry account. That creates a dependence which isn't scalable in open source, right?
You are absolutely right. In fact, where did I see? How do I edit content? make a pull request through GitHub's UI, clone this repository and create a pull request, or you can make the changes in Forestry's UI. So if we go to Forestry, I remember seeing this front matter. This would be the home page.
Okay.
No, this would be, sorry, under pages. Where did I see that? Sorry, I'm just going to hop on Codesy real quick.
Totally.
Because that was actually super helpful for me to find. Just going to scroll up a lot. Here we go. Let's review that interactive map because I saw here where that was added here. So it's under, let me make it a little larger. Content/pages. So this is where we're going to find that data. If we go to home,
okay,
you'll see.
Nice.
Yeah. COVID-19.
So we should just be able to edit that file directly, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's do that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good way. That's the like dive in and get it done. I am wondering if we can run like a little Forestry admin server or something and do the visual kind of editing, right?
Yeah.
But that might be the challenge for next stream. Good to have options either way, I think.
Totally. So let's gotta be lazy and copy paste that over.
It does look like there's an in-kind donations bit there, right? It's showing up. It just doesn't have the latest content, or
yeah, I think the image is missing. Which means because I was added in Saga, so we might have to rebase this off of Saga first. Which sounds complex.
yeah, or we just like copy the content over. I don't know.
True. No, that's what I was thinking. So for Fort Pickett, we'll just do this here. Yeah, so Fort Pickett. I hope the size is okay.
Looks good to me.
This would be USA. And we'll copy over this content.
Nice.
I do believe. No. I think we need to break lines here. No, we don't. I'm just going to leave it as is. You can support our work by donating here. And this is Markdown, I believe. So
yeah.
I can donating here.
Grab the link.
Copy link address.
Yeah. And can we make it more than just the here? Can we do like you can support our work by donating here and have the donating included in the link?
Oh, yeah, sure. That's the great thing about Markdown. We can make that easy peasy.
Easy. Nice.
Nice. Cool. That should be rebuilt. And there it is. I love this, that it just
that's great.
Updates automatically. So the question now is images. These are missing. How are these getting generated? Let's have a look. I was looking at the diff earlier. And let's take a look at our map again. I saw that in the About Us, the homepage, where I believe it's the How We Help section.
Yep.
Component. So can we hop over there? Yes, we can. That's so cool. How We Help, title, location, description, placeholder image. So here we would need to.
So we have to import the images.
Yes.
Okay.
Placeholder images.
So I wonder if that's just a hack that Maxime's doing to get the images in there, because I would expect Forestry to be able to handle images, right? And then we wouldn't be manually setting up imports in different files.
In fact, it says here to move this to our CMS.
Okay.
So I would actually say, just so we don't mess up too much, Taylor, how about we merge this now and create a new PR?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right. Like we'll merge it now and then create issues to get this content up there or something. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Because we don't need to deploy it right away.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a bit cleaner. Right.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm glad you agree. So I'll go ahead and merge that. Automatically merge when all.
It looks like there's a conflict with the how we help section. So when
Okay.
did that conflict get in there?
So I do like that you can resolve conflicts in GitHub. That's pretty nice.
Oh, cool.
So this is what Maxime added, and this is what... look, there's our images.
Yep.
Cool, cool,
Okay.
cool. So we'll just have to clean this up a little bit. So I would say let's remove what's not used.
Mm-hmm.
Placeholder image we will not use. Instead, we will use in-kind donations image and fort picket image. But it looks like we're doing this after all.
That's okay. That's helpful. We had to resolve it for the merge conflict, so we'll just get it done now. Yeah.
Awesome. So this content stuff can go, if I'm
Don't
not
forget,
mistaken.
I think there's the triple equals up there that we need to remove, or that.
Oh, yeah.
Line
18, all the way down to here.
Yep.
And this is cool. You can also see like which conflicts are left. I don't know if you've ever done this in GitHub. I only did it recently.
Nice.
Before that, I would just do like search for head in all caps.
Oh yeah. I just search and I type in like 4, left arrows or something like that.
Yeah. So we can mark this as resolved, and that's going to create a commit.
I just want to double check, since we're doing the images and stuff anyways, do we need to go to the bottom and add that content in like we were planning, but then I think we reverted that? Or like, where's the content bit? So we added the Fort Picket image here, but then we need to go add that paragraph that you were looking at.
Let me take a look. Images, const images. Do we use that? There. So what we're doing is just grabbing that image from a loop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of a hack, I would say.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
But what I'm saying is, like, we added the Fort Picket content, right, to like a minute ago on Gitpod.
Right.
Now we're adding the image here on GitHub. Do we need to add the content on GitHub instead of Gitpod? Because we're gonna kind of do that afterwards, or merge it in afterwards.
I think so this actually, all we're doing here is adding the image.
Okay.
The content we can add as a commit on top, I would say.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah. So this is just cleaning up the yeah. Okay, cool.
No, thank you very much for clarifying. So let's commit that merge. Fingers crossed. That looks good. Let's see how that looks here. Merge that. So I believe we can do a pull. Do you mind if I try?
Yeah, go for it.
Git pull rebase. Cannot pull with rebase because we have unstaged changes. That makes sense. So what I'm going to do is stash my changes. And I git pull rebase so that we're fully up to date. Then I'm going to bring my changes back. I don't know if you know this one, Taylor. Git stash pop.
Yep. I love
stash. Love this. It's great because then I can do my rebase and my changes aren't lost.
Yep.
Yarn dev. We can confirm that everything looks okay. Let that build. And if we do that, we could actually just, do you think Maxime would be okay if we merge onto his branch?
Yeah, I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think especially in this case, like, should we make a new branch? Should we whatever? Like, we're adding a change, which is a type of change he's already added on his branch, right? So we're just this is more of a cleanup commit, right? Making sure that all the sections are in there, than like taking something that he's been working on and doing something different with it.
Exactly. Cool. So that's ready. Let's give it a refresh and see. Look at that.
Nice.
Look at that. This is great.
Cool. And so we should expect the new Fort Picket entry and that content to show up in forestry, but none of these images are in forestry yet. So that would be the next step. And that'll actually help clean up a lot of our code base as well, right? Because we'll be able to take out all of those imports. We made that decision in December to like hard code some things and just like get the site out the door. And it looks like we did that for images, but we can now incorporate those very easily into Forestry, and get rid of a lot of images and then imports and all this other stuff, which kind of clutters things up. Let Forestry handle it, and
Yep.
make it easy to swap those images around. Yeah.
No, and in fact, there's a to do right there. Move
Yep.
this to our CMS. So
Nice.
I say let's commit this.
Yeah. Let's make it happen.
So Git content. I like to do a little patching to see that everything looks good. All we did was add that section, which is what we wanted. So it's git commit, and this will be, I would say, a feature. Add Fort Picket content to Forestry.
Wait 1 sec. I want to look at conventional commits.
Go for it. I can do that here as well.
Yeah. Oh, right on. Because I think there's like a minor option somewhere. I'm wondering, like, this doesn't seem like a full-on feature. It is a progress, right?
So we've got fix, patches a bug, feat introduces a new feature. This correlates with minor and semantic versioning.
Okay.
Interesting. Breaking change. Types other than fix and feat are allowed, such as build, chore, CI, docs, style refactor, perf, which I'm guessing is performance, and test.
So that sounds right. Like feat is just kind of minor incremental progress improvements. It doesn't have to be like a big feature like we talk about in user lands, right? Yeah, cool. I just wanted to double check that. Thanks for taking the time.
Totally. Oh, look at what vPrevail says. When the images are in Forestry, I guess image optimization and site speed will be improved too.
Yeah.
Good point.
Hopefully that allows us to either use Forestry or use Gatsby image. And if they play nicely together, then that can really do a lot for us.
Thank you, by the way, vPrevails, for setting the stage for that.
Yep, for sure.
Cool. So we'll stick with feat.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, cool. Let's commit. Let's git push. I think if I do a git push, we're good.
Yep.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, that's done.
Then we should probably merge that in as well, right?
I think so.
Yep.
Is it okay if I do? Go ahead.
Go for it.
Awesome. Cool. I will leave a note here. Thanks again for this. I went ahead and added the Fort Picket content. Super excited to start rolling out Forestry.
Yeah.
And a rocket emoji.
There we go.
Good. Did it. Cool. Well, this is exciting. Do you think we want to merge that into prod and deploy it, or do we want to leave it for now?
I don't want to merge it into prod yet.
Cool.
I want people to get a bit more eyes on it. Do a couple cleanups, like let's get the images and stuff in there, because I feel like Maxim's current PR was more focused on proof of concept and like changing some things over from Contentful, and now I want to take maybe another week and like get ahead on stuff, right? Get ahead, and that's where I think our having a separate prod is useful, right? We didn't change anything user facing here really, so we're not in any rush to get new stuff that people can see on the website out the door, which means we can take our time. We can do a little bit more. We can play around with it. We can discover if there's anything that we need to kind of dive into here with Forestry, all on our dev and staging environments. And then I think the trigger for releasing something like this would be once it's good, it's stable, there's more content in Forestry, we've cleaned some things up, and there's new stuff that we need to push out the door, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Yeah. No, it's nice. Like you're right. We've spent a lot of time setting up for this landing site. We got it launched last week. Forestry's coming out, and now I'm really hoping to see that snowball effect, right? Where it's easier to get content up there. It's easier to get code, deployed, right? We can do that safely, and so hopefully it'll just be more and more and more going on. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we can start wrapping up for the day.
Yep.
This was a wonderful stream as always. Taylor, thank you so much for coming on.
Totally, my pleasure.
For those in the chat, V Prevails, thank you so much for joining and for contributing as always. Love to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. So
and yeah,
take care, y'all.
Yeah, have a good one. Till next time. Bye now.